sharing her idea how leading with results works. How leading with results works.
How leading with results work in this new normal, life in the new normal. I would like to share with you, in most of the time when people share things, then they say, in my lifetime, especially if they have a little bit of gray hair like me. But I'm sharing with you that in this year, we've had some phenomena. Think about it. This photo, if you would see that, you know that that's a photo that appears as a balaclava where you would normally feel very insecure when you see that photo. You would think, must be a crook. There must be something happening. Okay, hold that thought. Now, I'm no athlete, but I like to be able to do this jogging, and here I can't do it. But since COVID, I've had the opportunity to be COVID perfect in my balaclava and not feel this southwesterly. This is life in the new normal. I want to take you further to what John Maxwell says about leadership. And it's true. It's really such a true phenomena that we can see that everything rises and falls at leadership. And right now in this new normal, we need leaders that can rise up to actually take us places where nobody knows where we're supposed to be going. And in this new normal, I want you to imagine with me. I'm sure you've been around a leader that's really amazing. They are vision focused. They know how to rally a team and inspire action. They can have difficult conversations and you see results and you really feel great to be part of that team. But then there are the other leaders as well. They struggle to have difficult conversations. Now, I have studied leaders. And I'm going to share with you tonight one leader that I have studied of the 50 that I've studied for a specific purpose. And I'm going to use a leader that is known right across the world and respected right across the world, Nelson Mandela. I need you to see and to look at two things at the same time. The first thing is Nelson Mandela. Now, you see, he was born in 1918. That was even before my mother was born. So here we have Nelson Mandela, and you know what he was all about. It was about the fight against apartheid. In his struggle, there was when I looked at what this man had done before the struggle, during the struggle, while he was in jail, and afterwards, I came across very interesting facts about him. And now, bearing in mind this man and what he stood for and how he fought, I'd like to share with you my story. You see, I was a child of apartheid. I grew up in apartheid. I want to talk to you about how it was for me then. Not what it's like today. So go back with me in time so that we can deal with what I experienced. Now, I know apartheid was different things to different people. We can have 100 people on this stage, and each one's story will be different. So don't accept my story to be the norm for everybody. It's my story. But I'd like to take you with my story because I have a purpose for it. You see, in my time, We remembered Nelson Mandela as an activist, stirring up people. But yet, for me and my family and the friends around us, apartheid was actually just an Afrikaans word. When you translate it in English for us, it was separation. And how did that separation look? That separation was really, simply put, you had toilets for whites and toilets for non-whites. That's what it was. You had areas where whites stayed and areas where non-whites stayed. That's what it was. So in my conditioning, apartheid was a separation of people. You even had parks with benches where you could see apartheid. Now, I want to share with you that at the time of my early 20s, I went to Australia. And when I arrived in Australia, it was a giveaway. Whenever you speak in Australia, because the Australians, you know, they have this accent that goes up at the end, and when we speak, we kind of go down at the end. And it was a giveaway where I came from, and they said, "Oh, you're from South Africa?" Yes. And they would hit me with questions that were really hard on apartheid. Absolutely, a white person in Australia was piped with these questions, hard questions, questions that I answered in my sincerity, but I discovered later on. These questions, the answers I gave, were meaningless. It was then when I discovered the throbbing pain of apartheid. It's when I discovered the injustices and the wrongs that were done to many people. And when I say many people, I include white people. Because I learned I was conditioned. I was conditioned to have certain beliefs that were not the truth. Why do I share this story with you? I share this story with you because I have two takeaways from that. The one is, I wanted to make sure that nobody messes with my head again. I was not going to be caught blinded and deceived again. And the second thing is, I wanted to be able to understand leadership. I wanted to know how to be a dynamic leader that can lead for good. Because let's face it, if we look at the world, you can name excellent leaders, amazing leaders. But if there's something missing in them, they are amazing leaders either for good or for evil. So how could I ensure that I could be an amazing leader for good? I shared, my life's work began there. And eventually I published a book that contains, and that's all about, it brings that in how leading with results work. So what is this that I discovered through this search? I was looking, you know, if there's a chef, there's a secret ingredient that makes them stand out. So I was looking, what's that secret ingredient that makes a leader different? You know what I discovered? If you dig into Nelson Mandela, of course you're going to find things that are wrong. If you look at my life, you'll find things that are wrong. But you know, my heart is to do things right, but I've made mistakes. And the same with Nelson Mandela. But what I did find in him, I found that Nelson Mandela cared about people. Yeah. He cared about people. And when I researched those 50 leaders, that's what I discovered. They all cared about people. They cared about people. Now you might say, that's soft, emotional. I'm going to tell you, no, soft and emotional is not what it is. Care is something different. Care is something absolutely different. Care is intentional. Care has purpose. But now, care is not the only thing that's going to make you a great leader. Now, Simon Sinek talks about the why factor. And most of these dynamic leaders discovered a passion, and they were going with this passion. They have discovered their why. But you see, there's a difference. When there are dynamic leaders that care, and there's dynamic leaders that just do the administration and they push for the results. They don't care about the people. It's a huge difference that the end result of that is. And we've seen that in World War II. And, you know, even in Africa, we've had some leaders that have let us down. Now, bringing that back to corporate and understanding there should be care. If you ask a CEO, so what is your focus? What is your focus? What is most important? Quite often, they might say, customer is key. Isn't that so? Customer is the most important. Well, Popieni has already taught you that there's another aspect to it. You see, look at a farmer. When a farmer is busy with his planning, what is the most important to him? Would it be the eaters, the customers that he's thinking of? Or would it be the fruit or the vegetables that he's thinking of? What is the most important for him? Just as in leadership, it's the raw materials, your soil and your seed. In the same way, in leadership, the raw material is your team. When people matter, and you focus as a leader on your team will realize your goals. Your team will action because they are in a safe place, because they feel cared for. They rise up and are far more creative. They have boldness to say, that's not going to work here. I wasn't planning on saying this, but I'm going to do that right now. Some years ago, we had an employee that worked for us. And when they were finished, they moved on to another company. So I'm not going to name names here. And I bumped into that employee sometime later. And I said, so how's it going? And they said, Granny B, you can't believe this. When I worked with you, we just climb in and we do our best and we get excited when we see the job is done and people are happy. When I worked in this company with the same enthusiasm, the same drive, I was plainly told by my peers and my immediate supervisors, if you work like that, we will get you fired. Because they were working harder than anyone else. What's happened to our world? Leaders care about their teams. And when leaders care about their teams are the raw materials of anything. It's not companies, corporates that sign deals with corporates. It's people inside a corporation that connects with people inside another corporation that signs a deal. People matter. How do you get to the place that you can be powerful and care, I want to bring to you today a powerful activator of intentionality. You see, once you begin to discover what the power of intentionality is, that when you know what to do, you become extremely intentional with it. However, if you do not have the culture of care in your heart, you will be going a dangerous direction. I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you as a leader not to think it's soft to care. We don't expect you to hang out at the pub with the rest of your team and buddying with them. We expect you to care about them. Know what's happening with their spouses or their children. Understand, just as we sit here today, we come out of whatever. Each one has experienced something different. And you have to deal with it. And they arrive at your workplace like that. But if we care, they can get through it because they know there are people to support them. I want to encourage you today to be a leader that cares for your team. But be intentional. Are you a leader? Be intentional. I want to encourage you. With that intentionality, be focused. Be intentional. Be intentional. Did I tell you? Be intentional. Be intentional about how to care for people. Do that with an attitude of gratitude in a culture of care. And then we can rise up together. And we can change the world in a new normal.